All right, sweet. All right, so the first one we're going to look at is, let's look at Sally Nelson. Okay, so I've literally got paperwork everywhere. If it's easier for you to kind of move on over, feel free. I don't have a bubble. I ain't worried about it.
Might not be able to read the screen, but I might be able to recognize the navigation.
All right. So just like anything else, we're going to go ahead and start by pulling up the lead right here in Apex. Okay. So in this one, as you can tell, it's not been converted yet. So you remember you got to click the convert button. All right. So we're going to convert this. Convert. Now we have a lead that we can go into and look after the bubbles are done bouncing. Perfect. Okay, so now we're ready to where we can go in and take a look at the house. Even when I'm doing a home lead, I prefer to start by running an auto quote. That way it can pull like all the insurance information and stuff like that. So that's the way I run them. Now, not to do that, there's tabs at the top. You could just click home. You could circumvent that, okay? But even if I'm dealing with like a live transfer, or I got like a hot lead on the phone where literally I'm talking to them, I'll still do the process I'm doing. Sure. You'll develop speed and efficiency as time goes on. So right now, nothing pulled for their auto. Their date of birth, a lot of people use their date of birth in their email, which is a really bad idea to do. So hers is Sally in 1942 at Gmail. And then I always just pick like a 08 Accord. If I just got to throw a vehicle in.
So you put in the fake auto and it pulls up all their old insurance information?
Yeah, it'll do a hit. So you see how it says not received? So it actually didn't pull anything. But what it's still doing is it's still running the insurance score in the background. Okay. And that's what I want because that's going to tell you the segmentation.
Sure.
Well, Sally's a female. All right, so boom, here's our segmentation. She's standard. So do you know our segmentation differences?
I know that there's like a low, medium, high. There's got non-standard,
it's non-standard, standard, and preferred. Yeah. So she's right in the middle. So there could be, hit to her credit. That could be attributing to that. So once you get to here, if you actually have valid and good information, I save. But I'm just going to go ahead and just tab on over to the home.
Okay. So you won't save that?
No, I don't care for that info. It only took me seconds to get for that. All right. So I always go non-smoker. I always like to have auto on here. And for all intensive purposes for quoting, that needs to be on there. And then if for whatever reason we're talking to them and they do not bundle, that's when we go back and remove the auto.
So what is the discount breakdown for the
so if you don't have this,
I have it on my wall, I just couldn't remember.
Yeah, so the auto home discount for the home is 20%.
Gotcha.
So without it, I mean, it's an uphill battle. And like when I'm talking to customers and we have that conversation, to where it's like, are you currently bundled? Yeah, but I'm not worried about that right now. Hey, I understand, but for all intents and purposes, I'm going to have it bundled to the quote. Right. Simply because all companies offer like a 20% discount or better, and it'd be an uphill battle, if I'm not even in this, if
not
I'm
even
not
in the ballpark.
Yeah, exactly. So as you can see right here on this address, 354 Royal Springs, St. Louis, Mo 63122, it didn't pull anything. So at that point, I'm going to go ahead and search over here. Probably because it's a drive. We'll just do Royal Springs 3122. See what pulls. All right, so we don't have a good address. It's saving. Hey, Amber. Five people here.
What?
Hey, Ver.
You know like, look, this bar will not get back to me.
I get it. I get it. I get it. All right, so Sally Nelson.
Sure.
I went ahead and searched for them. I don't see them. What other tools does Michael have access to be able to pull the address? Because this is a bogus address.
What county is it?
That's in St. Louis.
He can search by that name in St. Louis County. It's up there.
All right, so let's do that. Oh, I have that all saved under Internet Explorer.
Again, this is per assessor. Each one's different how you can search.
Sure.
You'll learn. That's how I know.
So what a lot of people end up doing is they'll end up putting in no Sally Nelson found.
Then you can search the street without the number to see if it's even a street.
Okay.
So just don't put a number in it, see if there's a street, which maybe might have that person, you'll see the
I see
names
what
of
you're
the people on that street.
Sure.
So if the last name
Okay.
pops up again, it could be something, you never know.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here we go. Here we go.
I
Here we go.
searched to
Here, let me
see
show him.
if
All
the
right,
last
so
name is there.
Royal Springs. So we're looking right over here on owner name.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to look for anything that's remotely related to Nelson. Because a lot of people, they'll put just a bogus in here, but this one looks like it might be completely bogus. All right, this one's completely bogus, so
Yeah, as far as like the address and the name and stuff.
so this one we just can't verify.
At that point, either one.
We must call.
Okay.
But regardless, we get a refund on it. What? Yeah, I do. I need, how many you got?
Do you need me?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you. Appreciate all your help. All right, so the first one's swing and a miss. I'll take them.
Hey, Chris, are you going over home?
Yeah.
Why don't you show Allie too?
Okay.
So they,
And I'm recording it too. So.
yeah. Hey, Allie.
These are
Why didn't you come in here
Thank
and look at home?
All right, so this one is fluorescent. This time we're going to go ahead and verify the doggone owner name before we do all that. Kim. First name is Chi. All right, so I'm not pulling them or having that. So let's go ahead and search by the address, 5102. That's not where you're supposed to be, 5102. Okay, so on this in this scenario, we have an address. So right now, all I've pulled up is the county assessor's website. So right now, I've searched this person's first name, last name, didn't pull anything. So then I went ahead and did a property database search. So I see that this is a legit address, but right now it's owned by this person, Salamaco Jeremiah Salamaco. So not a big deal. They might be buying it. Okay, so now we know that we can go ahead and at least put together a quote. So it's going to be very much just like the auto. So Kim Chi. There's our lead, just like how you guys are know. If I turn it a little bit, does that help you guys? All right, I'm trying to make sure the camera looks at me and not you guys.
I like that too.
I appreciate that.
Yep. All right. Let me make sure that way. Everybody gets worried about the camera. And it's like, well, if it's only on me.
I know.
Really?
All right, so it's only on me. Cool. All right. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and jump on in. All right, so just like I said on the auto, we're gonna convert, and then we're gonna convert, and that thing's gonna bounce around, and then it's gonna say we have a lead we can jump into. So we're both familiar with that, right? All right, cool. All right, so jump right here. All right, so now we're going to jump in. I always do, like I was telling Michael before you came in, I always run an auto quote regardless. Because my goal is to, bundle it.
Right.
Yep. So I've already got all of my legwork already done, and that allows our system to go ahead and start running the insurance score behind the scenes. Figuring out the segmentation and stuff like that. Now, if I'm correct, which I think I might be, it's going to pull 2 different addresses. It didn't pull anything. So I always just put something in. Yeah, so the email is idk@gmail.com. So,
Stay focused.
I entertain myself so much by these emails that come in.
I know.
And I get them on the phone and I go to verify it and I'm like, oh my
Can't
God.
say this.
I can't even say it.
I know.
There's been times like that. I'm going to fuck this.
oh yeah, no, I get it. Like, all right. County record says your name's Jeremiah, but I'm looking for kimchi.
Yeah. What'd you have for dinner last night?
Yeah, I wonder what it was. All right.
Yeah, I just had a quote for Dick Stevens.
No way.
I had a Richard Head.
Yeah, well, yeah. I
was like, good Lord.
I see when it said Jabba the Hutt too.
you get a bunch, and it's just like,
yeah.
And you know what's funny is these are the premium leads through EverQuote. Can you imagine what the
God.
low level is?
I've gotten some low level ones that were pretty bad.
All right, so right now the system doesn't know what to do, so it actually pulled an insurance score off that address. So it gave the segmentation designation as non-standard. So what it did was it probably did a soft insurance inquiry on this Jeremiah Salamaco, however you pronounce the guy's name. So we have that. So I always do this. If there's actually valid and solid information, save and exit. But if you just, for all intents and purposes, I'm just showing you how to do a home quote. I don't care if this is a real person or not.
Right.
So immediately when you pull in the home, there's going to be some info you're going to have to immediately put in. Yes. So it doesn't really matter on the old carrier. None of that information really kind of pulls. Okay. So your 2 things over here is I always have a non-smoker, and then I always include auto with the intent to convert. And I mentioned this to Michael earlier too. Even though, you talk to somebody and they're like, well, yeah, I have it bundled, but I just want to know a price on the home. Always include the bundle because that's an uphill battle that they may not comprehend. At the end of the day, they're wanting to improve their insurance situation. So if they knew that they were getting that kind of discount, they wouldn't ask kind of a stupid question like, oh, I just want to know what the home is. They don't realize it's a 20% discount. You know what I mean? So I include it, go over it with them.
So I'm curious, at this point, why would they need to know if it was non-smoker or not?
Good question. So we offer a discount to non-smokers, but it's one of those things where it's not really, it's not verified. Well, first off, it's not verified, and it's not really everybody either vapes, chews, everything but smokes.
Right. I was gonna say it's almost like a non
tobacco.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I always just throw non-smoker.
Christian, there's gonna be a CBD one for.
Right. Yeah. Are you CBD?
Yeah.
All right. So for some reason, it did not pull the 5102 either. It's funny. Now it's actually loaded.
The previous one?
No, I have Kim Chino on 708 Trinity, but there's no NO in there, so it's probably still fake. All right. So now we're going to go to Google, and we're going to pull up the Zillow on this. 5102. No. I want Google because you suck. What's the zip code? 63. All right, so there's certain zip codes in North County where it's 63033 or 63042. That can be Hazelwood or Maryland Heights, stuff like that. So just kind of be cognizant of that. So instead of putting in a city, a lot of times you're just throwing the zip code. But that's also like that in South County too. All right, bam, we found the house. It does exist. It's a real house. All right, so this place was built. All right, built 1960. So, because the system didn't pull anything, it's all sorts of confused. You're going to see it's going to jump as soon as I put all just a couple pieces of info in. All right,
So the
1040 square feet.
So the system sometimes will pull some of that basic information.
Yeah, the system will actually pull it 99.9% of the time. It's just if it's that fake, like this guy can see, it's not real. It doesn't load anything. So
Except for the logo, it looks like State Farm at this point.
yeah, so a lot of companies use a very
Same
similar.
foundation.
Yeah, use a very similar calculator. So before we click into any of this, the first thing we do is we click this exclamation point, which is like your location. And then that right there is going to pull, should pull street aerial map, but it's not. So we're field underwriters. So we've got to look at the property. We can't just willy-nilly go in and not. So I'm going to go ahead. I found it over here on Zillow. All right. So what we're looking for on this property is we're looking for vinyl siding. We're looking for any brick veneer. We're looking for roof structure type, garage, carport, and then I like to try to peek over to the left or to the side of the house to be able to see if there's a basement or not. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to go standard. If the house is below 1,200 square feet, this house in North County selling at 127,000 is its estimate. You could put this at economy. You see how it shows what economy looks like? You see how that's very similar? I would say standard is like your basic builder's grade. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to have standard, and then we're going to go through this line by line. Now, as you find out information about this customer, you can then like ask, is the basement finished? You can see online this house has sold before. So it's like the partial finished. So we have concrete, we have a basement, it is a 1-story. So do you guys know the difference in between like the styles and all that? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter because this isn't that big of a factor or important stuff. We care about 1-story, 1.5-story, 2-story. Now, what we do care about is like if it's a bi-level or a tri-level. So a lot of people think that bi-level is that house where you walk in the front door and there's stairs up and down. 9 times out of 10, that's a raised ranch. It's considered a raised ranch. Everybody says it's wrong. So let me see if I can pull this up here. Oh, dang it. I know that this one's a ranch, so I'm putting ranch. All right, it doesn't show you on that one, but the next opportunity I get, I'll show you, and it'll probably be there. Now, did you guys see it had a carport? All right, so you guys got that too. Now, what if you talk to a customer and it's a single-lane carport, but they say it's a two-car carport? What would you put?
I mean, if you're quoting it, wouldn't you quote the 1 car?
Yeah, you would quote it. So even if it shows that it's 1, but the customer says it's 2, they're probably talking depth.
Yeah.
But even on depth, for quoting purposes, we still quote it as 1. Yeah.
You could put it too deep, but you can't put it too wide.
Correct. Yep. All right. So on these quotes, I don't expect you guys to do it every single time, but you can kind of tell by the size of this house, it's not going to have a massive kitchen. It's going to have just a little. See, there's a kitchen, super small. So I always change these things. I change the kitchen, and then did anybody get the what type of siding was on the property? Yep, I saw vinyl too. What about the roof?
I couldn't tell if it was 3-tab or 4-tab. I would think it was. I think it was
3-tab. Yeah.
It was 3-tab. Yep. So see if we got a good picture of the roof. Right here. Yep. So I feel like the system like blurs the lines like this
You can't tell.
when it's like that. Well, you can because when it's architectural, it won't
You get
do
that.
this.
That's
It won't do like those funny lines and curvatures. So, all right. So all this looks pretty good. We're gonna go ahead and now you can do more details, but in a house like this, you don't need to. When you start to get into houses that like maybe you're doing a cabin and for sale, right? Like a secondary residence, there's going to be piers and beams and things like that. So you can really get pretty detailed with stuff like that. But those are so far and few between on a situation like that. Just grab Stacy, grab myself, grab Shayla, grab Natalie. You know, somebody can help you do it. We've all quoted them by now, so we all know what we're doing on that. All right. So replacement cost on this is coming in at $175,000. All right. So didn't see a pool in the backyard. I'm gonna go no. Now these are questions that when we're on the phone and we're actually talking to the customer, we're verifying. Roof age, I put a 2012 or 13. Majority of homes in St. Louis have had that roof replaced, 2012 or 13, when that nasty hailstorm came through. So, but if they have it newer, find out, ask, because all they have to do is provide us proof that it was replaced, and we offer replacement cost on that roof. I want to say for like 20 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So as you can tell, this premium is going to be sky high because we can't pull anything. We don't know anything. So farmers is like, please God, don't sell a policy. We don't want you to sell this policy. We don't know anything. We need more info. So I didn't see any separate structures. I don't know if you guys did. See in the backyard, you can't really see anything back here. I see something off in the distance, but I can't tell if it's their yard or their neighbor's yard. So 175 is the dwelling. That's coverage A. We both know that, right? All right, coverage B. Is that a fixed amount or can that be changed? That's the separate structures.
Variable.
It can be changed at farmers. 90% of other companies can't. It's locked in at 10%. So that's a portion where we get to kind of brag about it. Like, hey, you know, this is something that we have that nobody else can do. We can customize this to you. This is going to default to 55% of coverage A, which is going to be your personal property. 9 times out of 10, that's going to be more than enough coverage for the person. Now you have one-off situations to where, you know, they might have like some musical instruments, or, you know, maybe the wife or husband has like a knitting business or fabrication, something like that. That's when we'd up that and we would talk about that. But usually that's more than enough. How does loss of use coverage work?
If there was a catastrophic event, it would cover their expenses to live someplace else.
That's exactly right. So the way in the verbiage I like to use loss of use is this will pay out in the event of a claim and expenses that you would not have normally incurred had the claim not happened. Okay, so if we have a kitchen fire, house isn't burnt down, but we got to pay for you to live in a condo or a hotel for the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks until that smoke damage is cleaned out. We're going to pay up to $35,000 if you eating out every night, of your hotel stay, of your dry cleaning. Well, why dry cleaning? Well, because you don't have access to a washer and dryer, stuff like that.
Variable too. Wow.
Yeah, it's adjustable. We can adjust that. So, and then ALE. What does ALE stand for?
Beer.
ALE, right? That's a good
I like
answer.
that. I like that.
ALE is for Alternative Living Expenses Term. So this is where farmers really caught a lot of pride and success out in California when those nasty fires hit. So what was happening was, you know, houses were being burned down, entire neighborhoods were being burned down. But just like what we experienced in Joplin, it was taking 18 months, almost 2 years to get their house rebuilt. 9 times out of 10, we don't have catastrophes like that that are that significant. A Joplin-style tornado, that's a once every 50-year kind of thing. You know what I mean? So the reason I'm saying that is because you could actually adjust this from 12 months to 24. So we have flexibility there. Now, we're always going to typically quote this. You can take it on a case-by-case basis. These kind of, when you start to go into in-depth into each individual kind of coverage, is when you're going to be talking to like your engineers, the people that really understand and care about the nuts and bolts of the policy.
Right.
So, you know, I'm going to teach all this to you now. So if you, oh yeah, Chris said something about that, so you can go back.
So tell me again what ALE stands for.
Alternative
Living
Expenses.
Gotcha. I'm bad with those.
No,
I know.
Yeah.
The good thing is farmers.
Ale, I'll always remember though.
Yeah, you'll remember ale. So just remember it's adjustable from 12 months to 24 months. And then your general liability, Jeremy and I, we always run these at 500,000. So 2 reasons. One, the difference in premium is so minuscule, you can't even tell. And 9 times out of 10, any other agent is going to recommend 300,000 because that's what the system pre-fills. So you can add $200,000 in coverage in a general liability case, and it looks a lot better, and it's a very small bang for your buck. Now, also too, think about your general liability as everybody knows about the good old-fashioned slipping and falling. Okay, but think a little different than that. So Jeremy and I both use a kind of a scenario like, let's say, for instance, your house catches fire. You know, you didn't mean for it to. A kitchen fire got out of hand. Well, then worst case scenario, that kitchen fire then spread to your neighbor's house and then burnt your neighbor's house down. And God forbid somebody got hurt over there, all because of the fire that resulted in yours. You could potentially be on the hook for your neighbor and all their belongings and their lives. So that's another selling feature. And I guarantee with that scenario and you saying it that way, that'll be the first and only time they've ever heard it explained that way. Guest medical, how's that work? It's simple. The way I always consider guest medical is it's hush money. You know, in the event somebody's had too many drinks, going for the tour in the house, rolls their ankle.
I love hush money.
Bam, there you go. Here's $1,000. Please don't sue our insurance.
You guys always stick with 1,000.
It pre-fills. So there's a lot of states like we're not a PIP state to where it's like required to have increased medical coverage for like car accidents. So in states like that, you tend to see them raising guest medical coverage. I always run it at 1,000, but you can go as high as 5,000 with farmers. So.
That's kind of what I had done previously. Is I just had a standard. 5,000 was the standard. I'm
just
curious what the differences are.
It's relatively minuscule. It's not a lot either.
Yeah.
So, but I would much rather you spend money down here. Than spend it right there, and I'll show you why. So we always recommend 25% above replacement cost. If they're valued at 175, does anybody know how that calculation works?
What is it, the 25%?
25% above replacement cost.
175.
So the quick math I do, 175,000 times 1.25, we'll go up to 218 to rebuild. Very easy peasy. You can figure it out on the fly, especially if you're on the phone with the customer. RCV on everything, but census. We offer RCV. You can do it at RCV. Do you guys know the difference between replacement cost value and actual cash value? All right. How does actual cash value work?
Actual cash value would be what it would be valued at, right?
Kind of no.
Yeah.
What?
Kind of.
Kind of no. That's a nice way of saying no, right?
Try again.
Well, replacement cost is how much. Actual cash value is what you purchased it for. Replacement cost is what you could purchase for it now.
No.
Is it
So RCV is ACV is a very simple computation. It's replacement cost minus depreciation equals actual cash value.
Right.
So think about that when you're talking to your customers. Say, hey, we got this at replacement cost coverage.
Right.
Do you know what the difference is? Oh yeah, it's going to be replacement. Well, let me explain what it means.
Sure. Yeah.
Replacement cost is this. I mean, dumb it down. Like speak like they haven't had it explained because they're going to have the same assumptions you guys initially have.
Right. Sure.
So when you explain it that way, it's like, oh, okay, wow, I didn't realize that. Identity fraud, pretty simple, explanatory. We offer $15,000 or $28,500. Those are the punitive damages that we would pay to get that repaired in the event of an identity fraud case. So if they had to get attorneys involved, if they had to get CPAs involved, they had to do a lot of back-end expenses to be able to repair the credit that was stolen, we'd pay up to that. Jeremy's been doing this 11 years. I've been doing it for 7. I've never had an identity fraud case. So our base policy comes with a little bit of it, so I don't even recommend this. Yeah. Now, this is where I definitely recommend it. I recommend matching. I recommend marring on properties regularly. Now, these are 2 big hitters. These usually increase premium about $100 a year per line item. So you kind of pick and choose with what you're going to go with. So what does matching do?
If your piece of siding blows off.
Yes, actually, that's exactly it. So let's look at this property. I noticed in the front of the house there's a little discoloration on one of these siding pieces, like right here. So that right there, in my opinion, looks like it was replaced at some point. They did a really good job of matching it. Now, the way Farmers works, is, let's say, for instance, we end up having hail. Hail's only going to hit in one direction, north, south, east, or west. It's never going to pummel the whole house. You see that?
Unless it's gonna go around like that.
Right. So when you end up getting that, what farmers will do is we'll know that we can't match the siding. So we'll pay up to replacement costs to wrap the whole house in new siding. So it's all uniform, up to $10,000. So if it's 11 grand, you're only getting 10. Now, that only covers vinyl siding. So I see this a lot. If you drive through neighborhoods, you might see that one-off house that's got totally different siding. That's what happens. Insurance has to identify you, which is a fancy insurance word to make you the way you were before the claim occurred. Nothing says about having to be pretty.
Right.
So that's why I offer matching.
You got siding, doesn't matter what color.
Yeah, exactly right. That's right.
All good.
Now, what about marring? How does marring work?
Is that your downspouts and stuff?
Yeah, so that's going to be your soft metals. That's going to be your fascia, your soffits, your gutters and downspouts. So let me ask you this. Let's say we had a $10,000 roof claim. All right, it's a decent sized roof. The roof was just beat to hell, gorilla size hell, nasty. But the gutters were never detached from the house. They're beat up. Is that covered? No, it's not.
Oh, it's not, because it has to be.
Gutters, the way it works, if it's functional, it can look like garbage. But if it's attached to the house and it's functional, you ain't getting that replaced. Well, you can, but we're not paying for it to be replaced.
Right.
Marring kicks in and doesn't do any of that. What happens is with marring, we'll come in, we'll place all the soft metals. That's going to include all your caps, all your vent caps. Do you know what they do right now with vent caps that are damaged? They spray paint them gray.
Really?
Can you see them? Nope. Sure can. That's what they do. That's what they do. So all those vent caps stay on, they're damaged. The gutters don't get changed. The fascia might be dinged. All that fascia, a lot of that fascia and soffit's going to be aluminum. So, you know, all that stuff gets replaced. So usually your average house, like a house like this, is not going to be that significant. But if you get a decent sized square footage of a roof, that could be actually $3,000 in coverable claim.
So you just mark it covered. There's not really a value.
It's either it's either covered or not covered.
Gotcha.
Yep. And then
what about the one above it right there? Is that a variable? Is that
which one? Building ordinance or law?
No. The matching one.
No, 10 or 20.
10 or 20. Gotcha.
No, 30. I said 20. I meant 30. 10 or 30. Okay. So either 10%, $10,000 or $30,000.
And you really stick with the 10,000?
No, I don't. I look at the house. Okay. So like if it's a big old mamma jamma, I know 10 grand won't do it. Right. You know, I'll do 30.
Right. You could have a house or half size.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, yeah, it'd be better than nothing.
That's right.
But they're still gonna be mad as hell.
Yeah.
You know. So I mean, you look at it, and I probably sold 5 of them at 30. You know, my whole time. So
that gives me an idea.
Yeah. So I mean, it comes, but those are gonna be your high net, your $1 million, 750,000. Those folks care. They don't care about premium.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with 10,000 cover a 400.
Shanna, can you grab that or?
Just trying to think of the values of the homes that I've looked at that I see more regularly, and it's usually 300 to 400.
Yeah.
That I've seen.
Yeah, those
so
two.
So you go 30 on those probably. Like 80-20.
So my house is roughly 2,000 square feet.
Yeah.
And I got a 2-story, and it would be about 15 grand to do all the siding. So I would do 10 in because I wouldn't mind doing the difference.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If you have something like that, I mean, you got to think the roof's going to be 15 grand. Then you got another 10,000 siding. So you got $25,000 for the entire kabang. I could probably negotiate them to get that other $5,000 difference in that 25 grand. You know what I mean? Okay. All the other coverages that I'm going to hit on. So we offer a coverage that I think only one other company offers. It's called Service Line. Do you guys know what Service Line is? It's right here. Sewer lateral. Yep, nailed it. So this coverage is it's such a badass coverage. It really is.
Oh yeah.
So we've had it on a couple claims.
My son's house had to have service.
And sewer lateral?
My daughters, both of them.
Yeah, so the way that sewer lateral works is, let's say, for instance, they have roots penetrate to that clay piping and it busted up. It's going to be 8,000, 9,000, 10,000, whatever it is, replace it. We'll go up to $10,000. That'll be minus your deductible. We'll pay out.
Is that one you standardly put on every quote?
No, we don't
Or do
put it
you
on
wait
every
and talk
quote.
about it?
You know what I do is when I say, hey, when you bought the house, did you have a sewer lateral inspection done? I did. Okay. Do you remember, is your sewer lateral PVC or is it clay? Because if it's PVC, I feel comfortable on you making the decision on yourself. But if it's clay, I highly recommend it. Because now you're talking about, a piece of clay that's been underground in Missouri for 30 plus years.
Well, and it's the tree, the only reason why I know is because my mother, they got it twice. There's the tree roots go through it because when it's dry, they search for water. So if there's any leak in that, that's where they're gonna go.
Yeah, it's gonna push right through it and it'll collapse in a hurry.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
So you'll leave it off until you have that conversation.
I leave
Then
that
have
off until I have that conversation. Next coverage I recommend, and I actually sell probably a decent amount of this. Jeremy and I sell the most of this, the sewer and drain. So we have 5,000, 10,000, 15, 25, 50. So if you were to have, let's say for instance, you had a blockage, all right, you didn't know it's in your basement. You ran bath water for the family. You went to the bathroom multiple times. You wake up the next day and you've got nastiness all over the basement. How much if you had $10,000, what does that cover?
Not a whole lot
Not
of your
much.
bases, so there's,
Yeah, you're right. But
depends, but
to
it's better
put
than nothing.
To put into perspective, majority of companies, I believe State Farm was one of them, to where they only cover flooring, framing, drywall, and major appliances. No furniture, no decor, no storage, none of that. We cover all that. All right. So the average water loss in St. Louis, including commercial and residential, is 15,000. The average I see is 5. Majority of companies and people put $5,000. So this is a coverage. It's probably about $130 a year to have it on there. I always recommend 15.
I would never do a policy without it. I mean, I had to use it, but I would never do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those
When
coverages.
it's happened to you,
It's happened.
You're
to
more
me.
passionate about it.
right?
And you're talking to other people in the insurance business, they say, I never would recommend doing it without.
100%.
Because that's the call I get the most in the office.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, guess what? This
Sure,
happened.
just back there.
I don't want anybody to be PO.
Yeah.
Now let's talk a little
So
bit
you
about.
use 15.
I do
Those are
15,000, and you see how it says basic contents, yes or no? We're going to mark that no. Basic contents wouldn't cover like a bunch of storage down there. And to be honest with you, they're going to be blown away if that's covered in the event of a claim. That's your really moment of shock and awe. And the difference is so minuscule. I'm talking it's easily like $15. That's not worth it. It's really not. Jeremy just had a water loss in his basement, and he had hockey equipment down there. He had clothing, whatever. The total loss payout was $20,000. It happens. It happens. So I missed a couple things, but I want to go back up and hit these. So we have what are called special limits. So anytime you want to know what that is, you can click right here and it's going to pull this up. We always recommend Premier on the special limits. Okay. Now what that's going to do is it's going to do a ton, but the best thing to kind of think of is it's really going to increase the cap on your specialty items like jewelry, watches, and furs, firearms. It also increases like your personal property coverage at like a storage locker or mom and dad's house. So here's some examples. So like think of your silverware, goldware, platinumware, pewterware. If you didn't have platinum, we would cover baseline of $2,500 or $1,000. It increases it up to $5,000. And then the jewelry, Is that another? It says jewelry.
All the way up to the top. Next screen.
Yeah, jewelry, watches, and furs. So $5,000, but it has an increased aggregate amount of $5,000. Do you guys know how aggregate works? Perfect. Let's say you got a $2,000 ring. Something happens, it's gone. If you have a $1,500 limit, it's going to be paid for it, but what's the most we're going to pay for that ring? It's a $2,000 ring.
Oh, $2,000. Or no, you're going to pay for that minus the deductible.
Well, yes, but in this scenario, let's not worry about the deductible. So because it's a $1,500 aggregate limit, that means even though it's at $2,000, we're only going to pay $1,500.
Right.
But now if you got three of those, with 1,500, 1,500, 1,500. You see what I'm saying? So 5,000. So this is where we have conversations on jewelry. And the rule of thumb is anything valued over 1,500, I really recommend scheduling. Well, why, Chris? Well, here's why.
Right.
You know, and our scheduled jewelry is so thebomb.com. It's ridiculous because we covered like the large stone for women's rings. So if she's on a cruise and having a good time, having a couple drinks, knocks that big stone out, doesn't know till the next day, yeah, we're going to pay to get that new stone put right back in.
I did actually 3 of them were weird, right in a row. Boom, boom, boom. I'm like, one ring was worth $7,000.
Oh, I can believe it.
One ring.
I can believe it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
That's a nice
So
ring.
big items like that, we can adjust in this?
No.
No?
So that is
Okay,
where
I have to go to the person.
we schedule those items. So we are looking for a jewelry
I think
loader.
you're basically
Terminology. is a little bit
right. Well,
Yeah.
you're
Called
basically saying
scheduling.
this right. You're basically saying it's only for up to a certain amount.
Yeah, so
And
we'll do
anytime.
1,500 aggregate up to 5,000 for your baseline blanket coverage for specialty pieces. And that goes towards musical equipment. Well, I mean, I've done like a Stradivarius violin, you know, very expensive piano. You know, there's a ton of stuff that falls into this. So have these conversations with your customers, but we can ensure it. Now, what do we require to pay out in a claim? Yeah, we need to have an appraisal or bill of sale. Now, what happens if we don't have it?
You're only gonna get what?
Farmers can actually deny that.
Right.
You gotta have it.
So this is all part of the homeowner's policy. It's not like a separate.
Right, so State
Personal
Farm, you
articles.
could do like a
No,
personal
personal
articles. Yeah, that we have it all part of the homeowners.
That's sweet. I like that.
And it makes it a little easier, believe it or not, the mortgage company will pay for it.
Really? No kidding.
Yep, the mortgage company will pay.
It always
directly
seems like
out of
such a
escrow.
backwards way to do things for me. You know, doing those personal article
I get it.
policies.
I get it.
Oh my God.
Now, there are some like specialty coverages too I also want to hit on. So like personal injury. This is something that a lot of attorneys like to have, a lot of people that might be on like an HOA. What this will do is this will also help protect in liability coverage for like slander, libel, any kind of claims like that against them. So that's an additional coverage you can have. Child care, if you got, you know, a mom that's, you know, watching some of the neighborhood kids, we need to have this. Earthquake coverage, you guys know how that works? Or do you know how that works?
I don't know specifically. You'd be better off explaining it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in this scenario, the house is valued at $175,000. So that's how much we have to have in coverage. So how does the deductible work? If it says 10, 15, 20, 25, what is that in? Let's say we do 25. That's the cheapest one. What does that 25 mean?
Your deductible will be 25% of the $175,000.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So in the grand scheme of things, that doesn't sound like a whole lot. But when you actually do the math,
It's a lot of money.
so earthquake is regulated on the West Coast, like flood is regulated here by FEMA. Okay. So first things first, they do things a little different out there than they do here. Here we have a fixed percentage-based deductible. And the way it works is it's going to be tied to your dwelling, like you guys know. So 9 times out of 10, when I explain this to a customer, and they're saying, wait a minute, I'm paying $82 a year for a $43,000 deductible, I don't want it. I don't want it. But that's not our job. That's not our job to make that decision for them. We got to explain it to them. Our job isn't to sell people, it's to give them as much knowledge and information so they can make the most informed decision.
Do you find a lot of policies the earthquake being added to it?
The way I explain it, I'm probably either 70-30 or 60-40. I'd say 60% of the people don't want it, but 40% do. But I literally explain it the exact same way. I say, hey, I want you to understand, you know, this is how earthquake works. We can do 10, 15, 20, 25%. In my opinion, earthquake coverage is really only going to pay out in the event of catastrophic loss.
Right.
And, you know, Missouri's had like some 4.8, some 4.7 earthquakes with no damage reported. Okay. So if this happens, it's going to be a catastrophe. So in this event, if you have a claim for $43,000, are you getting anything paid out? No, because your deductible is $43,750. Now, if you got $45,000 in damage, yeah, we'll cut you a check for right under $1,500.
Right.
You know, but if it's not a total loss, I mean, holy moly, that's a lot of money for earthquake coverage. It really is. So,
How many people ask specifically for it when I was?
they've had
I
it.
think they're trained.
They've had it for so long, and they have no idea how it works.
Right, that's what I say, they're just.
And the people that are selling it, they're just like, all right,
Well, yeah, I mean, you asked for it, then I want to give it.
yeah, exactly. So I take a minute, and I like to explain.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's what it is.
Yep. I like to take a minute and explain those things. Now, also, too, guys, we can do like watercraft. You can do watercraft through here, or you can do it through Foremost. Now, you're not going to be able to do like yachts and stuff like that, or majority of boats we like to have written through Foremost. But you can do like some jet skis and stuff. No, I would even do a fishing boat through Foremost because they're so competitively priced. Yeah. And then we also offer farm liability coverage. I don't know if you guys know about that. So some larger properties that might have a farm that actually gets farmed, we can do liability coverage on that. We don't like insure crops or anything like that, but we can insure like the $100,000 tractor. We can insure stuff like that as well. Camera floaters. That's pretty much the gist of it. Building ordinance of law. Do you guys know how that works?
Isn't that like when I'm trying to think of it, when something changes, like if they make GFIs or
Yes,
something like
that's
that?
exactly right. Great example. So in Maryland Heights, in 2012 or 2011, the Good Friday tornado tore through Maryland Heights, causing a lot of damage to the North County area. Maryland Heights had an ordinance put in place in the late 90s. All houses had to be put with a garage. The majority of the houses built prior in 1970 all had carports. So the homes that were damaged to the point to where they ended up,
You have to pay for the garage.
yeah, if they didn't have building ordinance. Right? Now there's a couple carriers out there that don't normally include it. You have to ask for it. So if you go heads up against Allstate, that is a company that's notoriously bad for it in AAA. So as soon as you see those, so not only do you need to know our product, you need to also know what your competitors can do and can't do.
Right. So do you recommend putting that on most of?
It's required with farmers. That's why I love it.
Okay.
It's built in.
Oh, okay.
Yep, we don't adjust it. It's built in. I love that. Now, so that's how the home works. So Chi is done. So this is another fake account.
Because that happened somewhere else too, where it's all code violations. Is what I was thinking of.
Oh,
Anything
yeah.
that's coded,
Yeah, and that's basically it.
It's basically when they come in and say, well, you know what, we passed this law a long time ago. Sorry.
That's exactly it. Yep. Hey, you're bad, not mine.
That's right.
All right, so we are going to do 1114.
Yeah.
They have no idea.
Changed through the years.
And they get so transactional. They only worry about the price and the premium. And you're going to be the one person that's going to talk about coverages, the ins and outs and coverages, and they're going to be blown away that you even took the time. There is. And people don't realize the vulnerability that's legitimately there. Like, dude, there is like for sure some stuff that can really screw up your life.
Your home is your investment. Right? You have to take care of it. What's the point in having it?
Exactly. I totally agree. All right, so I've already started doing the search on this one. North 5th Street, 63028. Oh, there's Derbs. I can't talk to Derbs right now. All right. All right, pretty house. All right, so we should be able to pull something up on this one. All right, so we are going to do Patsy. Patsy Carter. All right, same like you've seen. It comes in as a lead, convert. Now condos, so things to get like super excited about. First off, I think we're a little underpriced on our home product. Yeah. We are priced really, really good on home. I like where we're at. We're priced even better on landlord properties, on all condos, and like secondary residences. Like we are legit on fire. Like,
No
those are
kidding.
awesome price.
Great.
So get excited, anything related to home, but you can even do a little jump for joy when you get a condo because you're guaranteeing that whole household. All right, so here we are. Quote. All right. So if you wanted to circumvent that, those tabs at the top, there was a button for you to click home, and you wouldn't have to go through the auto. Just so you know. Hopefully this should pull everything, man. I'm thinking it will. Bam, look at that. All right, looking good, looking good, looking good. So what does that NB and UB mean when you see that for prior coverage, guys?
I'm sorry? What?
On that current carrier, this is kind of an auto question. What do these two mean?
Underinsured and uninsured.
Hey, there you go.
I was like, I was like, home.
I'd like to throw you a little bit of a curveball, right? See where we're at. All right.
Yeah, it doesn't match what it should be. It should be.
What I was finding yesterday doing the auto quotes though is I was surprised that there were so many that were just taking it off.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Ours were all linked together.
Yeah. So ours always drops off underinsured motorists, so it's something you had to throw back on there. So this one's going to be a freaking amazing quote. Look at this. This is coming in. She's with State Farm. So that on there, but we're going to go ahead and up this to 250. Well, here, I want to show you like that value-based selling I've been telling everybody about. Okay, it's $28 a month for car insurance, full coverage for this lady. If we up it to $250,000 in property damage, we would more than double her property damage.
Wow, I can't even read it.
$28.42.
Wow.
It went up like what, 15 cents?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. So that is a case to where you can have that 100, 300, 250 conversation. We more than doubled your coverage. You illustrate a scenario, you build need. It's awesome. So we'll save that. All right. So that one, as you can see, I save simply because I know that that's going to be a good one. Quote loaded, fantastic. Holy crap, this is working correctly.
What? How's that happening?
That's a first.
Say what?
All right, so now we're going to jump in and take a peek at the home. This is a perfect example of that different kind of home I was telling you about. So anytime you see this, red flag, got to look at it. We need to know what this says. And I'll show you why in a second. Okay, so any claims. So all homes go back 5 years. All carriers go back 5 years on rating and looking for claims. Farmers only requires 3 years for like eligibility. So you can't have more than 2 claims in a 3-year period to write new business. Now, if they've got 5 claims in a 5-year period, but there's only 1 in the last 3 years, we're good. It's when we get past that 2, when we come an issue in that 3-year period. All right, so remember non-smoker. Let's jump in and take a peek. All right, so there's no street view available on this. From what Bing says, I hate Bing, FYI. All right, so anyway, here is what the property is looking like. I don't know if you can see this screen or not, but you can kind of tell that this house has got multiple levels, right? So we have a level here, and we have a level here. Hi.
Hey, don't mean to interrupt real quick. I already know your answer, but I don't know you guys well enough yet, so I'm gonna ask you. Shayla's gonna pick us up some Starbucks because we're dying. I didn't know if anybody else likes Starbucks or wants anything.
I've got my caffeine.
Fine to
Okay,
get
we're good.
Hey, but I could go for a monster in the fridge. Hey. All right.
Monster drinker.
Oh yeah, man. My fluid consists of coffee, Monster, lemonade, and an alcoholic beverage. I don't even
There you
drink
go.
water,
There you go.
ever.
I used to pound those Diet Cokes so much.
All
And then
right.
at some point, I started drinking this water with a little bit of caffeine in it. Oh my god!
I say you're alcoholic. Did you finally admit it?
No, I'm not an alcoholic. Get out of here.
So what were those cold ones that you busted up yesterday?
Oh, those weren't cold. Those were hot.
They were hot,
was
but they
a
were good
gift from-
beers.
I don't know. My customer Caleb with Gamma Commercial Cleaning brought him in. I've been helping him with a lot of stuff, and he's a cool guy. And he was like, are you a hard liquor or beer? I'm a beer guy. He's like, I'll bring you some. People say that, but,
Yeah,
they never do.
sure.
But he brought it in.
What a
I was like,
guy,
"Oh,
man."
yeah, that's cool. And then, of course, in celebration, I busted one on Jeremy's floor.
What kind was it?
It's like called Keen. It's Serbian beer. I don't know. It's in the
Never heard
fridge.
of it.
Try one on Friday. You want? All right. So let's see. All right. So this one right here, we can see that it's got vinyl. What we need to do is we need to go ahead and look at all four corners. All right. So we'll with that. All right. So we went ahead and looked all the way around the property. We know vinyl goes all the way around.
That's a great feature.
Yep. All right. So, dude, that phone is going off nonstop.
The same guy?
Nope. That's 3 or 4 different people. So, okay. Vinyl siding. All right. What kind of roof does it have? Yeah, you guys see how it doesn't have those like blurs in it? That's
Usually a ridge vent also is a good indication.
You're exactly right. Yep. All right, so you guys see how it's already defaulted to a 1.5 car? That is not. That is a 2 car. That's a ding. We get that wrong, they hit us on that.
Oh, wow.
Because we write so many properties and whatnot, we really can't afford any dings. So we get them, but just stuff that we didn't even know we could get hit on. So, all right, so this has got it as a 2-story. I'm going to have to try to find that slide. Hey, Jeremy! Jeremy! Come help me! He's going to love that this scenario popped up. I guarantee it. Come on, Jeremy!
Yes.
All right, so your favorite house popped up, and they changed it on me.
Well, that's a weird looking one.
Yeah, so I was going to do
Triplex.
triplex. It's not there anymore.
Well, where is it usually under?
It's normally under style.
No, those aren't the style. Here, exit out of there.
Let me go for more details.
Well, where does it normally say 1 story?
Well, right here, where it says 2-story, number of stories.
No, it's right there. It should be there. There we go. Split level. Split level, tri-level. Bi-level
But
raised.
normally it would say tri-level.
No, it's always said split level.
Did it? I thought it. And then for, all right.
But it doesn't show it on style part. It's where it says number of stories. That's a really weird one, though. I mean, that doesn't even look like a typical tri-level. But yeah, that'll be tri-level.
Oh, man.
Do you guys know the difference between like split levels?
Yeah.
I can give you an address real fast. I always just pull up my old house.
Kind of helps you remember.
11061 Ridge Forest, RIDGE Forest Court. Yeah, 63126. All right, pull up that. Go all the way down. Nope, opposite way. See that old blue house? That's my old house. Go all the way down. Yeah.
The old starter home.
Yeah. I still own it. It's my own rental. Keep going, or go far. Go as far as you can. here, go down one more. Look at this house on the right.
Yep.
Okay, well, what is that? What would you think that is? Oh, here, let's look at both of them. Here, go. No, scroll. No, up.
What do you mean?
This way. Look at that one. Okay, they're both the same. So, what do you guys think that is?
I would think it would have stairs to the left that go up. Correct.
So this, actually, I forgot. I thought these were bi-level. These are where I'm trying to show Stacy all the time, tri-level.
This is tri-level.
This is, again, going to be tri-level, meaning
So it goes up
three
like this
main
and then down
levels.
like that?
One
But
downstairs.
once you walk in, you're walking in on level ground.
Right.
So you walk into the house, and you can walk. Once you're inside the house, in the living room, then you can go up like 4 stairs or down. A bi-level raised ranch is more houses in St. Louis. Right when you walk
And that's
in the
a raised
door,
ranch. It's
you're
not
going up
yeah.
or down. So most houses are not like this.
Right.
Most are going to be the other.
Right.
But, well, the other ones are still older, but this is really,
unique.
yeah. Well, this one's just weird as can be. But
You know what I think this was? I think this was a ranch that actually had an addition put on the
I think
top.
you're right.
yeah,
I'm
They
thinking,
rewrapped
I'm
it,
thinking
that
they
nice
did.
vinyl,
the
right?
garage.
I
I
think they added
think
garage.
I think you're right. I
you
think
don't
they
put
added the
that
garage.
as a 2-story. I
No.
mean, there's no right way to do that one.
Yeah.
Our system ain't going to be, that's where we do somewhat of our own due diligence and make sure we're insuring the house.
But if they inspect it, we don't get dinged on it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Those are the scenarios where it's like we did everything in our power to make sure it's legit. So,
Is there anything that calls attention to having somebody go out for an inspection?
yes,
What types of things?
when you look at it and it looks like shit.
Would that look like shit?
No,
Because it's
no,
kind of bizarre?
No, this looks fine.
No,
Bizarre
yeah.
is fine. I'm talking
The outside and
shit.
that
I'm
looks like-
talking.
So like untapped.
I'm talking, you know, it looks like there could be tuck pointing issues. There might be growth on the building.
What about those old St. Louis homes?
Exactly.
Will
Yeah.
they do those
yeah.
pretty
yeah.
regularly?
Heck yeah. So Jamie, who used to be in our office, he ended up doing something else, but we would send him out occasionally. We'd pay him to go on out and look at it. Say, hey, would you mind driving out and take a look at this property for us?
Sure.
You know, I don't know if there's no good street view of it. I'm getting a feeling with this
Where it's
location, it's either going to be hillbilly Hoosier or North
Sure.
County ghetto. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right,
So
right.
we want to see which one it is.
Right.
Okay.
And we'll give you a gun for packets.
That's right. That's right. Stay strapped. Stay strapped.
The farmer's weapon.
All right. So with everything we got, everything else looks pretty good. Except for the siding, you see how it defaulted aluminum metal? And see, if you don't look at those things, you sell it, right? After this view, you're not going to look at this again. You're really not. So you really need to take a minute. And I'm speaking from a person that got dinged the most. You can ask anybody in this agency. When I first got rolling, I was getting a damn ding on a home inspection like every 10 houses. And I mean, it was like, holy moly. And I was so used to having like a little bit more freedom with it. We don't have that. So we need to be field underwriters, be the position that we are, look at it, take some pride in what we're doing and make sure it looks right. And then see, you can even see composition, 3-tab. And it is definitely architectural.
Yeah.
All right, architectural, final. Now, did you guys also see why I was kind of looking around the property? What I was looking for? At this angle, what am I looking for?
I would assume you're looking for a basement. And
I am. Do you see one? Nope, neither do I. So when you zoom in here, that is a slab right there. So make sure your foundation type is concrete slab, not basement with concrete. This is a concrete slab. 232. Always do gas, even if it is electric. For some reason, the system like trips more or charges more for it. There's no need for them to. That's something that's unverifiable. So
Right.
might as well do what's best for the customer and save them. Again, year age, if you can verify it, do it. If you can't, 2012 or 13.
So whatever price they come up with for that replacement value, you just stick with it. There's no variable on that.
Well, I talked to them a little bit about it. Like when I'm going through it, if I get the customer on the phone, I tell them, hey, I'm doing what's called a replacement cost calculator, and at the end of the day, it's just a glorified calculator that gives us an idea on what it's going to cost to rebuild your house the way it sits right now, but with brand new materials and current labor costs. And based upon that valuation, I came in at $232,000. Do you think that's right? Well, I can't sell it for $232,000. Yeah, no, that's different from fair market value. Sure. $232,000 is what we think it would take to rebuild it. Right. So with that information, oh yeah, you should be able to go for that. 90% of the time you'll get that. There will be one-off situations where it's like, oh, that's definitely not enough. And that's where you can go back in and change it from standard to custom to designer. Yeah. And you can totally upgrade and do that.
That's kind of what wraps the cost a little higher.
It ticks it up. Yep. Okay. So I see a little shed in the backyard. That's the only thing I've seen back there. This is a little shed. I don't think 23 grand. They could probably, I don't know. I would kind of talk to them about that because that shed looks newer. I'd ask them how much it costs. If they're like 5 grand, just drop it down to 5%. You can leave it at 10 for all intents and purposes. And then I'm just going to build our base. Now this is my base. This is what I like. Okay. Now my base is going to be different from your base, but your base, what Jeremy has you doing, is not exactly this. You're going to have 500K. You're going to have 125, but you're going to take this off and this off for all of your quotes.
Oh.
Okay. So yours, you can navigate and play with because, you know, you're a salesperson. You figure out which one you want to do.
But if I haven't spoken to them, would that be something you would recommend?
That's your baseline, yeah. So no policy pretty much can be sold through our agency that has lower limits than this. Gotcha. If it has lower limits than this, we need to know why. Sure. And you know, you might have a valid reason. Hey, Chris, you know, the house is in bad shape. You know, really don't want this. You know, okay, yeah, no problem. We can scale it down a little bit. But if we're scaling things down and we're not talking to the customer, that's not okay. We need to at least give them like baseline of what our minimum expectation is. And as you can see, all the other stuff doesn't fill in. So that's pretty much it. How do you guys feel like you got a good handle on it?
Good start. Yeah.
Good start? All right, great.
So it's 12, so it's always 12 and 5.
It's always going to be, what's 12 and 5?
I'm sorry, 12 months, 500,000 and 1,000.
Yep, 12 months, 500,000. We always up that to 500,000. So just think, if you see 300,000, it's wrong. You got to fix it.
Right. I just want to make sure.
And then down here, 1 1/4. Okay. RCV on everything but the fence.
Okay.
Premier.
Okay.
Premier.
And tell me again what Premier does. That's the extra.
Perfect. Let's look at it again.
Okay.
So those are those special limits on certain personal property coverages. Okay. So Premier is this side, enhanced is here, special is here. Every time you change that, it will reduce the premium from what it's at right now. Okay. And basically what it does is it increases all the special limit coverages.
And
cool.
That's where you want it to be.
That's what we want it to be. Yep. So, now, mainly, majority of people you're going to be quoting, they're going to be people you never talk to. You're probably not even going to talk to them.
Right.
You're going to be talking to, you know, cross-sell opportunities, things like that. Right. So your one-offs are going to be completely different than what Michael has. So you need to learn the baseline quoting like this.
Right.
And yours is going to be a little different.
Right.
So there are times, dude, where I quote it and I'll run standard and I'll run, you know, 110% replacement cost. But I've been doing this long enough. I know, I know that this is going to still be right by the customer. Right. That's why I will do those in one-off situations. Sure. But majority of the time, it's Premier and it's 125. Yep. So, all right.
Yeah, some little different things, but interesting. Yeah.
All right, you guys are up.
Hey, Mary.
All right, so this one right here.
Who gets what?
Why don't you take that one? Get with Amber. You take that one.
Sir.
Hey, Shayla. 3 o'clock. You eat lunch so late. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So go ahead and run those. I'll be checking in on you guys.
I don't think she has any more homes. I think she gave you all.
No, I know. I want her to call this lead.
Oh. I was like, I think she gave you all most.
No, you're good. Thank you, guys. Go and stream.